Without further ado, let's introduce our celebrity guest, ladies and gentlemen. He's an entrepreneur, real estate investor, owns multiple business, author, mentor, philanthropist, just dominating in every aspect of life. He's one of the country's top real estate trainers. He's owned and managed over 2,000 properties. He's got the best real estate podcast out there. He's the author of a #1 selling book, How to Create Lifetime Cash Flow Through Multifamily Properties.
Stop it. Just stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, Rod, oh man, we at least got to drop the beat for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll stop right there. Yeah, y'all welcome Rod Khleif back. Hey, there we go, Rod.
Thanks,
there
guys.
We go.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me. There they are. There's all those beautiful faces. Hey, everybody.
Yes,
Iffy, I love you, sweetheart. She's a freaking rock star.
Yes,
well, listen, thank you all for being here. It looks like I've got other warriors here as well. I see some other faces I recognize. So my name is Rod Khleif. If you haven't suffered through my story, I'll try to be as brief as I can to give you a little background on who I am. So I'm a Dutch immigrant, think wooden shoes and windmills. Immigrated this country when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother's Vansha. And I actually have a picture of the boat here. I wasn't going to go through the slides. Just trust me. I came across on this big boat. I remember the only memory I have was my mom crying when she saw the Statue of Liberty, because I was wondering why she was crying. Kid that always startles a child. But we ended up in Denver, Colorado, really struggled initially. I remember we ate expired food. That we shopped at an expired food store. We drank powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. And trust me, it sounds better than it is. And I remember wearing hand-me-down clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I finally got disgusted when I was 14 because I was tall and I lied about my age and got a job at Burger King flipping burgers so I could buy my own clothes. Some of you may have had it harder than I did, but I will tell you I knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so that we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, she was a bit of an entrepreneur. She invested in the stock market successfully. She also invested in real estate. Her first real estate acquisition was a house right across the street from us that she bought when I was about 14 for about 30 grand. And then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep that had gone up in value. And I'm going to tell you, this was when 20,000 was a lot of money. And I was like, what? You made 20 grand? You didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate. So I went out and got my real estate broker's license, which you could do back then with education. I could actually have my own office. They got smart. Now you need some experience to be a broker. And I was smart enough to go work for another broker, but I was a broker. And my first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. My second year, I made maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000, which back in 1980 was some decent change. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy. I was actually dating his daughter. This is the broker I was working for. And he taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology and how 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and psychology. Fast forward to today, like Trevor said, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented long-term, and I now own thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And my head got so big, I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a freaking real estate god. It's like $8,300 an hour if you want to do the math, which of course I did. And so God decided to give me a little smackdown. And that was 2008 and 9. I lost $50 million conservatively in 2008 and 9. So what happened between I already said that. So how did I recover? That's the big story. How did I recover from losing $50 million? In fact, and how did I have the mindset to even have it to lose in the first place? So I want to start with that. Okay. I want to start with mindset. I know some you guys are all here to learn about real estate. When I tell you that this is more important than the freaking real estate, please trust me. There's a reason my warriors own somewhere between 170 and 180,000 units. And I've only been teaching 5 years. Okay. It's because they actually take action with what they learn. So let's talk about mindset first. If you come to my boot camp, I'm going to mention you guys will get a hell of a deal on my boot camp if you want to come. It's in Orlando, September 15th through the 17th. The reason I bring that up, if you come, the first hour and a half is goal setting. Because how the hell do you get anything if you don't know what it is, right? You got to know what you want, and you got to know why you want it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And so that's the first thing we do. Now, I will give you a link. In fact, I think it's in the corner of my screen. That's my link tree. And don't go there now because you'll get distracted, and I don't want you to miss anything. But at the bottom of that is my goal setting workshop. I do it every New Year's Day. I've done it for years. It's got my goal setting guide. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. It takes about an hour, hour and a half. Here's the thing. People spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. That's designing your life. And by the way, if you want to write it down, it's rodslinks.com, rodslinks.com. But you're definitely going to want to write it down because there's a ton of incredible free resources there. Best-in-class books on asset management, on due diligence, on hiring a third-party property management company, on and on. So you definitely want to write that down, Rod's Links. But anyway, so it starts with goals. And what goals do is they trigger something in your brain called your reticular activating system. And that's that filter in your brain, subconscious filter that points you in the direction of the things that you want. And you're not conscious of it, but that's how you get what you want. And I'm going to tell you, if you tell me you've got your goals in your head, I'm going to tell you, if you're in your head, you're dead. You got to write them down. Okay. And then you manifest them. And I will tell you, one thing that I do is, am I covering up I'm covering up that link. That's just write down Rod's links. I don't want you to go there right now anyway, because
we're pumping in the chat, Rod. We're pumping it in the chat.
All right, perfect. Yes, just go there. Don't worry about the QR code. Anyway, that reticular activating system, a great example of that's when you first buy a car. You never really notice them there. And you buy one and then they're everywhere, right? Were they there before? Of course they were. And so that's why you have to have goals. So why do you need goals? Because that's how you create a burning desire or a hunger, okay? Like Napoleon Hill talks about in his book, Think and Grow Rich. You have to really want it because that's how you push through fear. That's how you push through limiting beliefs. That's how you get uncomfortable. That comfort zone's a nice warm place, but nothing grows there. See my sign on the wall, comfort kills, right? And by the way, there's some of the hundreds of thank you cards from students. Now you can't even see the whole wall behind my green screen's covered with them. But comfort kills. That magnificent freaking life of your dreams is just on the other side of comfort. Okay. So it starts with goal setting. Again, if you come to my boot camp, I'm going to give you guys a hell of a deal if you want to come. It's $197, 3 days. No big sales pitch. I talk about my coaching for like 30 minutes. I talk about the Warrior Program. The rest of the time is all full on training in Orlando, September 15th through the 17th. All right. So that's goal setting. Here's the thing. 3% of the world's population, this is a Brian Tracy quote, so don't fact check me on this, but I think it's probably pretty close. 3% of the world's population has goals. The other 97% work for that 3%, okay? And even if that number's off a little bit, by God, it's pretty close. And so goal setting. The next thing I want to talk about is abundance. The most successful people on the planet have an abundance mindset. The poorest people live with a limitations mindset, okay? People with abundance realize there's enough for everybody. And they don't get caught up in scarcity. People in scarcity think that there are limitations, okay? And I'm going to tell you, the only limitations are between your ears, okay? And I'm going to tell you, the proverbial what's about to hit the fan, guys, especially in our world, in commercial multifamily. We have a ton of debt coming due. Those people that have their commercial debt coming due either have to refinance or they have to sell. Neither one look good right now. Sales are down 75% year over year. First quarter, I think it's worse. Second quarter, and refinancing is almost impossible for a lot of people because they have to buy the loans down to cover the debt service because the interest rates are so high. And we won't even talk about rate caps. Well, I will talk about rate caps. In 2020, if you wanted to cap your interest rate for 3 years, at 3% on $100 million, $100 million loan, 3-year, 3% rate cap was $23,000. That $100 million rate cap 6 months ago, I haven't checked since then, that $100 million rate cap today or 6 months ago, forget 3 years, for 1 year, 2.3 million. Okay. So guys, there is a lot of distressed stuff coming due, and I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm telling you, the proverbial shit's about to hit the, because sorry, I didn't mean to say fan. It's about to hit the fan. So anyway, It's going to hit. And that means there's going to be incredible opportunity. Okay. And so you're in the right place at the right freaking time. I'm telling you. And, if I hadn't been hiding under a rock from losing $50 million in 2008 and 9, I'd be on the back of a 300-foot yacht, because big money is made when what's going to happen is going to happen, because it's coming. The only thing that will prevent it is if, God help us, if they do it, if they print trillions more dollars to try to bail it out again, because then inflation is going to keep going and interest rates are going to keep going. But anyway, so it's important to recognize that it's abundance, because the news is going to make everything seem like the world is stopping. Back in 08 and 9, they said real estate's going to be terrible for 10 years. Multifamily rents exceeded pre-crash levels in less than 3 years. That's how fast it recovered. Okay. So, but just recognize that abundance is important. That mindset is important. The next thing I want to talk about is believing in yourself. Everybody that's ever been a success has had setbacks and failures. I call them seminars. That was a $50 million seminar. Everybody feels fear, or what we achievers call stress, right? But remember this. When you doubt your power, you give power to your doubt. That's not my quote, but it's a good one. Okay. And remember this as well. You are more powerful than you can possibly freaking imagine. Anything you put your full focus and attention to is going to flourish. Okay. So just remember, just believe in yourself. And I'm going to put a little more energy to that in just a second. The next thing I want to mention is I am statements. Okay. Anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement, okay? And there's no greater force in the human psyche than the need to remain consistent with how we identify ourselves, which is why I have I am success on the wall up there. I am the best in the world at what I do. I'm a business genius. It's not like ego. That's what I'm aspiring to be, right? And I'm going to tell you, if there is something you're trying to work on, like you're fearful, get a sign that says, I am courage. If you're distracted, get a sign that says, I am focus. If you're not exercising enough, get a sign that says, I am health and energy. I've got them all over in my exercise room. Okay. And I yell them at the top of my freaking lungs. I used to run down the street yelling this shit. I swear to God, I did. In fact, my kids help me at my boot camps, and that's the question they get most often. Does he really do that stuff? I'm like, yeah, he did. Now I've got my own exercise room, so they don't have to suffer through it anymore. But the point is, get those I am statements, use them. Use those as affirmations. They're incredibly freaking powerful. Now, some of you analytical ones are going, oh, for God's sakes, get on with the real estate stuff. Well, this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. Okay. All right. So ignore it at your peril is all I will tell you. All right. So I am statements. All right. Once you've got your burning desire and your goals done, you got to make a decision. Okay. The Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. And I'm not talking about dipping your toe in the water. I'm not talking about 1 foot in, 1 foot out. When you decide, it is freaking done. Okay. And when it's done, you're like a train on a track. Now, if you don't make that decision to get committed, you're going to get knocked off track. And sometimes that decision is just to take the first step in this business. Sometimes that decision is to take it to the next level and level up, but you got to make that decision. Okay. And the Latin root for the word decision is to cut off. And so a great analogy for that is if you're going to attack the island in battle, you burn your ships because you're taking their damn ships home. That's a decision. You're committed. Okay. And that's what you got to do. So when you make that decision, then things really start happening. And then after that, you got to take that first step. Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu said it thousands of years ago. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you got to take that step. Okay. And I see it with my students all the time. It's like the law of the first deal. It's the scariest. It takes the longest. It's the most stressful. Sometimes it's 6 months, 8 months, sometimes even as long as a year sometimes. And then they get one, and next thing I know, they have 4 or 3. I'm like, what the hell just happened? They realize that the setbacks is that what's holding them back is, again, in their mind. They realize, is that all there is, right? So again, you got to take that first step, and then you take massive freaking action. I'm going to tell you, my most successful warriors by far aren't the smartest. They're not the wealthiest. They're not the ones that have the best background. They're the ones that take massive freaking action. Sorry, I need some water here. Hold on, guys. Sorry.
You're spitting fire. Spitting fire.
Way
Rod.
past my bedtime. You guys keeping me up way past my bedtime. And that's why I'm fumbling my words. Anyway, so massive freaking action. Now let's talk about fear. What is fear? F everything and run. I like to think it's face everything and rise. Okay. And it's definitely false evidence appearing real. Now we all feel fear. Okay. But successful people push through in spite of it. They don't let it stop them. Okay. It's the poor and the people that live in scarcity that let fear stop them. Okay. And so again, we all feel fear. The most successful people on the planet feel fear, but they work through it. And I will tell you that one of the biggest things to mitigate fear is action. Anytime I'm stressed, which is just fear, is I just take massive freaking action. I won't go to bed. I'll make notes. I'll do what I have to do, and I push through. And you should do the same thing. Now let's talk about limiting beliefs. It's a shame I'm not in my studio. I didn't want to, it was raining, so I didn't go over there and set up over there. It was easier for me to do it here, but I've got some props for this. That's why I'm saying that. So when I immigrated this country, I got thrown into school. I was 6. I didn't speak English. Found out what bullies were for the first time. So I got my butt kicked occasionally. Hadn't learned how to fight back yet. And then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, lederhosen. So I got my ass kicked again. And then some of the bullies lived on the end of my street, and they chased me home, and she chased them off with a fly swatter. Next day, butt kick. So I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough. I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? Which of course presupposed that I wasn't. And a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not analytical enough. That was another one of mine. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. See, the reason the acronym for belief systems is BS is because they are BS, but we believe they're real. Now, if you have one of these BS belief systems that you don't feel like you're worthy or good enough or any of those other things I said, drag it out into the daylight when it comes up. Look at it consciously and recognize that it's BS. And I promise you, it will diminish and go away. I used to be afraid to raise my hand in a class of 10 people. Now I speak in front of thousands of people a year. It was 1,200 3 weeks ago. And so on and on. I got 1,200 coming. I think somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 coming to Orlando. And like I said, you guys can come for $197. Here's the code you're going to use, Rod Friend. Okay, use the code Rod Friend if you want to come. It's 3 days of training. It's not a big sales pitch. It's every piece of this freaking business, soup to nuts, which I'm going to go through in a minute. I'm going to give you a real high level overview of the business, but crazy if you don't come if you're serious about this business, honestly, because it's drinking through a fire hose. The manual's about that thick, plus all the other resources you get. It's worth I could charge $3,000, it'd still be a steal. Okay, I'm telling you. And I've never had a complaint other than the food sucked or the room was too cold or something like that. And thousands of people have attended. All right. So we talked about fear and limiting beliefs. Now let's talk about focus. So the most successful people on the planet have the highest degree of focus. Okay. Focus really is power. And if you're on this call, you are a freaking leader, okay? And right now, the world needs leaders more than ever. Don't get me started on the crap that's going on in this country and the crap that they've got on the news. It's pretty much all crap. You don't even know what to believe anymore. And as a leader, you've got to stand guard at the door to your mind. You've got to bring in the good stuff and keep that BS out. Remember this, okay? The news are not public service organizations. They are for profit, okay? And they make money if they scare the hell out of you, okay? Or lie to you or propagandize you or whatever. And so just be aware of that and stand guard at your mind, okay? Bring in the good stuff. On my podcast, when you go to Rod's links, on my podcast, I do a clip every week called Own Your Power, okay? It's motivational. You give me 5 minutes a week, I will juice you. Okay. I promise you. And there's hundreds of them there. And again, the link to my podcast is on my link tree there, but bring in the good stuff. Go to YouTube. I love to watch soldiers coming home. I cry like a little girl, but it makes me feel good, so bring in that stuff, but don't get caught up in all the crap and don't get me started on freaking politics. Good Lord. Okay. But focus is critical as a leader. Okay. And so pay attention to that. And I don't know about you, but I'll be sitting watching Netflix and I'll be scrolling through freaking social media because I didn't like that scene. And here's the problem with that. It kills your focus. Okay. My podcast is now at 17 million downloads, largest commercial real estate podcast in the world by far. And I'm bragging about that because it ties into what I'm going to say next. So I listen to 2 podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan, Okay, Joe Rogan, I listen to Tim Ferriss. I try to get both sides of the aisle. I'm definitely more on one side than the other, trust me. And it ain't this color. But anyway, so but I will tell you that I try to stay balanced. And on Tim Ferriss's show, which is this color, he interviews the best of the best in the world. And the conversations are incredible, intellectual conversations, best athletes, Michael Phelps, NFL players, NBA players, billionaires like Ray Dalio, actors like Arnold and Jamie Foxx, Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, biggest CEOs, the biggest companies in the world like Zuckerberg. And he deconstructs their consent. Boy, it is too late for Rod. Deconstructs their success. And I started to hear a pattern. They almost all meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? So focus is power, guys. Next thing I want to talk about is playing to your strengths. This multifamily game is a team sport. If you're going to be an operator, it's a team sport. You could be the mouthpiece like me. You could be the building relationships with investors and partners and brokers, finding deals. You could be the analytical person that does the underwriting. You could be the process-driven person that does the asset management. There's a lot of hats you can wear, but you got to play to your strengths, okay? And here's the thing. When you play to your strengths, you're in the zone. You love what you do. You never work another freaking day in your life. And when you combine your strength with someone else that complements your strength, success is freaking inevitable. The most successful partnerships I see, and I've interviewed some of the probably the biggest operators in the country and probably in the world for multifamily, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 doors. And the biggest partnerships I see, an analytical person with an outgoing person. That's a match made in heaven in this business, okay? Because it's primarily numbers, but it's also relationship driven. But you got to play to your strengths. When you're playing to your strengths, obstacles aren't as big a deal. Setbacks aren't as big a deal. You're more creative. You're more innovative. And then you hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses. That's how you do it, okay? And when you play to your strengths, you're passionate because you're loving what you're doing. When you love what you do, you have passion. What's required to influence people? Passion. Can you tell I got a little bit of passion? I'm here at I'll be here till 10 o'clock with you guys on a Sunday night. Yeah, I have to freaking love this to do that, right? Okay. And believe me, I don't knock it out of the park at $197 a ticket for my boot camp. But I find that when I give, and I've written a dozen books and a bunch of them are on Rod's links, it comes back to me 1,000-fold. That's just the way God works. So anyway, play to your strengths, guys. Don't try to build your weaknesses. Your strengths are your greatest assets. Okay, now let's talk about your peer group. You show me who you hang out with, I'll show you who you are, okay? You show me your 3 best friends, I know who you are. I know in your relationships, in your health, your happiness, and definitely your finances. Here's the problem. Most people default to a peer group that they went to school with or that they work with. And those people may have their own limited beliefs and their fears, right? They may be afraid of losing you. They may be afraid of feeling less than if you succeed. They may be fearful. And sometimes it's family. So I'm going to tell you, love your family, but choose your freaking peers proactively. You got a great group here. Come to my boot camp. There'll be 1,000 motivated people. Okay. But that's the reason my warriors are so freaking successful. All those deals are done between warriors. Okay. But get around people that are playing at a higher level that aren't going to be afraid of your goals and your dreams. Because when it's just a dream, it's a fragile thread, okay? And that thread can be broken. You got to freaking protect that thread, okay? So you want to be around people that lift you up, that motivate you, that inspire you. Again, that's my warrior group for sure. It's an incredible organization. But set that up for yourself if you have to. Just make it happen. Whatever you got to do, get it. Oh, I like that. You don't need friends, you need allies. I like that. So I can't look there because my brain will fall out on the floor and then I'll sit here for 30 minutes trying to remember where I was at. So I got to stop looking at the chat. But anyway, so get around people that want more. Okay. The rising tide lifts all ships. I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. Okay. That's who you want to be around. Okay, so that's your peer group. I'll tell you something. When I lost everything in 2008 and 9, I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. It was about 130 grand, 130,000 all in. And I was around people that were killing it in that crash, okay? They were thriving, okay? And they're like, get up, you puss, 50 million schmillion, go make it happen. Now, is that who you want to be around when the shit hits the fan? Yes? Hello? You guys all with me? Okay, good. Yes, better believe it. And that's what you've got in this group and what you'll get at my boot camp and just around people that want more out of life. All right. Now let's talk about problems and failure. I'm going to tell you, like I said, I call them seminars. Okay, I have built 27 businesses in my lifetime. I was shocked when I found the number. Several worth tens of millions of dollars, okay? 2 of them right now are. But most were spectacular flaming seminars, okay? We fail our way to success, guys, okay? So here's the thing. Don't fear freaking failure. Fear being in the same place you are right now 2 years from now, unless you absolutely freaking love where you are right now, okay? Fear that. Fear regret. That's what you don't want to fear that's what you want to fear is regret. Don't fear failure. We fail our way to success. I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx, women's undergarments that hold it all together. You guys don't know what I'm talking about, but women know who it is, okay? She's a beautiful human being, by the way, but she started with $5,000, and now she's worth $1 billion. I saw her in Forbes a few months ago, and I met her at a mastermind, and she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother almost on a weekly basis, what have you failed at this week? My God, if you have kids, you should ask them that question, because that is an awesome freaking question, to not fear failure. Now, here's why you want to fear regret. There was a nurse in Australia named Bronnie Ware. She was a hospice nurse, okay? So she took care of people that were about to die, and she asked them a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it, something like The 5 Regrets of Dying. You know what the number one regret was? Not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. Guys, you want to fear something, fear that. Don't fear failure, okay? Like I said, I've failed so many freaking times, I can't even count. Anybody that's successful has fallen on their face and bloodied their nose and ran into a wall. That's part of success. It's not a straight line. Fear that. Don't fear failure or problems. If you're not having problems, respectfully, and I love you, but you're not trying, okay? I'm just going to tell you right now. All right, I'm almost done with this motivational piece here. So those of you that are like anxious for the real estate, it's coming, okay? But I want to talk about gratitude for a minute, okay? Gratitude is the most important emotion we have available to us. It's foundational, okay? It strengthens our immune system, lowers our blood pressure, brings us closer to our spirituality, and it's how you bring everything you want into your life, okay? That's how you manifest everything you want into your life. Now, I'm going to lose some of you on this one, but I will sit most mornings in this recliner behind me here, okay? I'll sit there and I'll do gratitude. Gratitude for the beautiful people in my life, my kids, she's now my ex-wife, but she's still the love of my life, my coaching students, my foundation, and I'll just do gratitude. But then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them, okay? And I have gotten emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. And I know I lost a few more of you on that, but this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back, okay? So again, ignore it at your peril. Anyway, so that's gratitude. And guys, here's the thing. You cannot be angry and grateful at the same time. You can't be fearful and grateful at the same time. You can't be stressed or even irritated and grateful at the same time. Bring gratitude in. Be grateful every freaking day. And that's a magnificent life. Now, I want to share one thing, last thing here. So 20 years ago, I knew I wanted to live in Denver. I live on the ocean. I lived in Denver, and there's no beach in Denver, and I knew I wanted to live on the beach. And I would visualize the beach. I would visualize the palm trees and the surf and the sand. In fact, I even have some of the pictures here in my planner. I used to show this planner. By the way, I visualized all the cars that I wanted as well. I used to put pictures of the cars that I wanted on the visor of the car that I had. A first car was this piece of crap 4-door Granada, because I figured I had to have a 4-door car to show houses, right? But the guy I worked for let me drive his Corvette. He had 2 of them. And I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing. I got a picture of a Corvette, put it on the visor of that Granada. Within a year or 2 had a Corvette. Then I saw the TV show Magnum PI, and it was Tom Selleck, and he drove this Ferrari 308. And I'm like, that was the first time I saw an exotic. I'm like, oh my God, that is incredible. Put a picture of that on the visor of my Corvette, and got a Maserati, looked just like it. Last example is the Lamborghini. I wanted a Lamborghini, and I did the same thing, and I got it. In fact, I'll show you something here. So these pictures have been in my planner. And I've got my 2023 goals right there. These pictures have been in my planner for 23 years. First pictures are my gratitude pictures. These are my kids when they were young. Guys, remember I just talked about gratitude? It's how you bring everything into your life. There it is. This is not a do as I say, not as I do session here. This is what I do. Gratitude. Pictures of my kids when they were young. Then I've got pictures of things that I wanted. That house on the beach I built, and it looked just like that before I built it, okay? $8 million, 10,000 square foot house, giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the pool to get, through the waterfall to get to the pool. Big spiral staircase up through the middle. Elevator, wine cellar on the second floor. I had aquariums built that cost me almost 200 grand around the staircase. So this gives you an idea of the house. Now, you want to see something really crazy? Okay. I lost that house and all the craziness. Now I live in a compound. I have 6 buildings, big main house, guest house on the water, incredible exercise facility, off the chain exercise, video studio, 5-car garage, on and on and on. And because God's got a sense of humor, I can see my old house across the bay. It's literally right across the bay from where I live. But check something out. Look at those bottom pictures. You see the white wall in the bottom pictures? Can you guys see that white stone wall? I'm probably holding the wrong spot. Look behind me. That's my backyard. You see the wall? Is that freaking crazy? Okay, this is before and this shit works, guys. I'm just telling you, okay? Then there's more stuff in here, stupid crap like watches. I've got $1 million watch collection. There's the Lambo, forever got it. It was black, the one I got, and I wrecked it. We won't go into that. But there's the Rolls and the Bentley, all this shit that I got because I use profanity once in a while, forgive me. But yeah, I got it all because I had pictures. So there you go. All right, now, let's talk about that house on the beach, okay? I kind of got sidetracked there. So I built that house. And I mean, it was unthinkable when I was 18, but I built it. I mean, $8 million, incredible. It's probably 15 million now. It was 8 million when I lost it. But 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool at night. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego. A pool's changing colors. You know, there's a waterfall from the spa as well. It's just, the house was the pool was a magazine. It's spectacular. And I look up at this thing that I built to prove the world I was good enough. That's the truth of it. That's the reason I built it. That was like, hey, this should prove that I'm freaking good enough, right? And I got depressed. And I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I was really depressed. And I'm like, what the hell? This was 2 months after I moved in. I worked for this thing for 20 years. Like, what the heck's going on here? How could I be depressed? And I realized there were several things happening. First thing is, you should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. It's because, you know, like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for the future. And I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. Okay. I thought I looked at that chat again. I saw tolerate profanity. And I'm like, oh crap, I pissed somebody off. All right. Well, anyway, but it wasn't that. So that was the first thing is don't have, you got to have a vision for the future. Number one. And it's never about the goals. You got to have them to create that burning desire. But the happiness comes from progress and growth. Okay. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. But, like they say, the happiest days of a boat owner's life, the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat. Right. But you got to have the goals to propel you and push through the fear and get that burning desire and push through the limiting beliefs and get uncomfortable to create that life you want, to grind for a few years like most people won't. So you live the rest of your life like most people can't. You got to have the goals, but it's never about the goals. It's about progress and growth. But the big thing that was going on is I was totally focused on me. Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. That's the year I went and saw Tony Robbins for the first time. And I saw that he fed families for the holidays. And I was like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. And so I came home and I called my brother who's in Denver and who I was going to see for Thanksgiving. I said, bro, let's feed 5 families. And so he called his church and found 5 families that really needed help. Third family changed my life. We go up to this house. It's this crappy 1-bedroom. It wasn't even a 1-bedroom because you had to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen. And there's a woman in there with 5 kids, Hispanic woman. And she sees we bought toys for her kids and we bought frozen turkeys. We had a blast buying all this stuff and food. And she sees all that on a porch and she starts crying. Her kids come out, 2 of the older ones start crying. And Rod starts crying, and I was freaking hooked. And I'm blessed to say, guys, in the last 20, and there's a message here. This is not my ego. Please know this next piece, not my ego. It's a real message in this. But in the last 23 years, I've fed somewhere between 130 and 140,000 children here in Sarasota. We've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. We just did 1,700 a week ago Saturday. Okay. We've done thousands of teddy bears to local police departments for officers to keep in their vehicle if they encounter a child that's been traumatized. The reason I bring this up, guys, is we've been taught to achieve to be happy. Like we shouldn't be happy until we've achieved. Guys, you got to be happily achieving. And if you give back in any way, you're happily achieving. I know it's a play on words, but it's an important one, okay? And Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement's a science. You really want to get a soup to nuts on this multifamily business, get your butt to my boot camp. I'll give you the map and the blueprint. You just got to go do it, okay? It's a science, but fulfillment is an art. You got to figure out what juices you. For me, it's kids. Maybe for you, it's animals or the environment or the elderly. Give back right now. Don't say, yeah, you had money, that's why you gave back. No. You want the money faster? Give back right now. That's how God works, okay? Or the universe, whatever you believe, give back right now, and you will have success faster, and you'll be happily achieving, and you'll be fulfilled, okay? So I'm going to drop the mic there for a minute, let you process that, incorporate that into your life immediately, and success will come faster for you. You don't do it for that reason, but that's how it works. All right. Come up for air for a minute, and let's talk about multifamily, shall we? So, can you allow people to unmute? Because I'd love a little interaction in this. Can you just unmute everybody? But guys, I mean, I don't, or maybe they should throw it in the chat. I don't know. However you guys want to do it.
Here's what we can do, Rod. We can do one in the chat, and the other is raise your hand. Simply raise your hand,
Okay.
and that way we keep it coordinated.
Well, I want to address some common misconceptions and concerns. And so, you know, how many of you have done some research and looked into trying to get into multifamily properties with a show of hands? I mean, obviously you're here, right? Okay. All right. You know, what are some of the obstacles that are holding you back? This is what I'd like to hear. What's holding you back right now? Just throw it in the chat or blurt it out or whatever you got to do. Give me some of the things that are holding you back.
Knowledge. We see knowledge.
Knowledge.
Capital.
Okay. What else are you seeing? Overwhelming things, tools. Okay. I'm seeing it here. Clarity. Okay. Finding deals. Okay. Good. Numbers don't work. Knowing where I can fit in. Good. Capital. Finding the property. Where do I start? Okay. Shiny object syndrome. Okay. That's mine. That's a tough one for me. Beginner's nervousness. Good partners. Okay. Okay. All good stuff. Not a solid team yet. Okay. All right. Let's talk about finding money, because I'm going to tell you, nobody said that, but I'm kind of surprised, because that is going to be the hardest thing in the next couple of years. Finding the deals is not going to be the problem. It's going to be finding the money. Okay. And so I want to talk about that first. All those other things are going to come up, but I think that what's going to be the toughest in moving forward is going to be finding capital. And there's two different sources for money. Okay. You know, one is what you raise, and the other is the debt. Okay. And typically in a normal world, you're going to raise probably around 35 to 40% of the debt, of the capital needed. Okay. This is not a normal world, because debt is much less aggressive right now. I mean, we're looking at a deal at 50% loan to value. The last deal we did, heck, almost a year ago, was 60% loan to value. Okay. And here's why we're going to see a train wreck in this business, okay, is because Fannie and Freddie dropped their loan to value. Like I said, we did a Freddie loan almost a year ago on a Nashville asset at 60% loan to value. People started using bridge debt to get higher returns for their investors. Now, if you guys don't know what bridge debt is very onerous debt. It's short-term adjustable rate. And people were using that bridge debt to get 70, 75% loan to value, which they couldn't get from conforming debt. And bridge loans were really there to bridge the gap from a non-performing asset to a performing asset, but it was abused, and the lenders don't care. They want to loan the money. And that's why there's so many people in trouble right now. And there are a lot of big players in trouble. I was at Grant Cardone's Growth Con, and there was a play. I mean, I've met numerous people. This is just a great example. This guy is a freaking rock star in the business, and somebody I admire. And he told me he was freaking out because he's got 13 of these bridge loans. I'm going to tell you, there are some big players in big trouble, and lots of people are really struggling. Luckily, only one or two of my warriors are. But I'm going to tell you, for the most part, that's what's going to cause this, the biggest cause of the problem that's coming. Okay. So, and so you're going to raise more money now. And that's why I wanted to talk about money and give that a little energy. You're going to raise more, and it's going to be harder, because there's a lot of, the Wall Street Journal has these articles about people at, lost a lot of money, deals that went south. That guy in Phoenix that was a real nefarious guy lost, I don't know, tens of millions of dollars of his investors' money, ran off with money to India, and there was just another Wall Street Journal article about, multifamily, and you're seeing it every day now. It's coming. Okay. So the point is, though, there's two different ways. I'm sorry. The debt, there's debt and equity, and we're talking about equity right now, the money you raise. And so typically you would raise, say 30 to 35% of the money needed for a deal, and 20% of that be down payment. The rest would be closing costs and, CapEx and things like that. It's more than that now. But the way this works, and I kind of want to give you kind of an overview, okay? The way this works is you will pay your investors a preferred return, right? It starts with a preferred return, which is a percent of their, the money they put in. It's anywhere typically from 6 to 8%. We do typically 8%. Then you're going to have a hold period that you're going to pro forma. It's going to be anywhere from 3 to 5 years, and your investors are going to get that preferred return, 6 to 8%. And then they get that big payday when the property sells, right? Now, typically there'll be a split, okay? And the average is probably 70-30, where the investors get 70% and the operators that put the deal together get 30%. Okay. These last two deals we did were 50-50 because they were so good that we were able to do them 50-50, but the average is going to be 70-30 or 80-20. Okay. And so there's a preferred return, and then it's called the promote, which is the split. Okay. And so that's how these deals are put together. The general partnership team, will collect an acquisition fee. They'll collect asset management fees. I'll talk about that a little more later. And I will tell you, one deal can change your life. One deal can literally change your life. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. But that's how these deals are put together. And they're fantastic deals if they're not aggressive. If the people didn't get this crappy debt, they're fantastic deals. The deals we've done are fantastic. We even had a fire at the one in Tennessee, and we're still doing great. Okay. So, but if you're too aggressive, you're going to have a problem, especially in what's coming, guys. So now is the time to be conservative. Now's the time to conserve cash, or talk to everybody that's got cash and let them know we're getting ready, because what's going to hit the fan. There's going to be deals, and we're going to capitalize them. I've got an opportunity fund. It goes live next week. I'm not going to pitch it right now because it's not quite ready yet, but I'm putting an opportunity fund together to have a lot of capital, because I'm going to tell you, when things start going south, it's going to be what's going to be more important than the price is going to be your ability to close. Okay. So there you go. All right. So what's the next big benefit to investors in this business? What's a huge benefit? Throw it in the chat for me. Let me see who gets it first. What's another big benefit to this business? Nothing? You guys got nothing? Taxes. Thank you. Awesome. Great job. It's fantastic. I haven't paid taxes in decades. Okay. I haven't paid taxes in decades, guys, and I've made a lot of money, okay? And there's a reason 90% of the world's millionaires either made it in real estate or they have it in real estate. The tax benefits are extraordinary, okay? So taxes. So what are some other sources of, well, actually, I'm just going to tell you. So, depending on the type of deal you get will depend on the type of lenders that you procure. And I will have a loan broker that does an hour. He's the guy who does most of the loans for my Warriors, named Tyler Carney DeBoard, at the boot camp, teaching you about the different types of loans. Let me give you an overview. Of course, there's bank loans, right? Which is, very, very common. But I'm going to tell you something on that note, guys. A third of all commercial debt, some say it's even up to half of all commercial debt, is held by small and regional banks. Guys, if you got more than 250 grand at a bank right now, I don't care what the bank is. Truist just got put on a watch list. That's the former BB&T, I think. I mean, that's a big freaking bank, okay? So if you've got more than 250 in a bank, if you DM me, I'll give you a resource, because there are banks now that will take your money, spread it out over numerous banks, and they don't put more than 250 in each bank. And they pay good return, 4 to 5%. And you're protected by the FDIC, if that makes sense. So if you DM me, I'll give you the name, the contact information for that person at the bank. Okay. So let me ask you another question. Because of what's coming, should you raise all your money from investors to buy a deal? Just curious what your thoughts are on that. Throw it in the chat for me. Should you raise all your money? No, that's right, Joseph. No, good job, guys. No, good. No, here's why. Because if you raise it from investors. The most investors want a piece of the deal and they want to stay in that deal. If you raise it from a bank, they're not getting the promote. You're just paying them that's right. They don't take equity. That's exactly right. Now, could it make sense to pay cash for a deal and refinance and backfill investors? Sure, it absolutely could. In what's coming. But no, you absolutely do not want all your money. You don't want all your money with investors to buy a deal. Okay. So now let's talk about the difference between residential and commercial multifamily financing. Okay. Residential, they're going to look, and residential is duplex, triplex, fourplex. Okay. 2-family, 3-family, 4-family, if you're up in Northeast. And that's a great way to start. Okay. In fact, pretty much any operator that I've interviewed on my show that has thousands and thousands of doors started with houses or plexes or whatever. And then, and I always try to ask them, what would you do, if you could tell 18-year-old self something? And it's always go bigger, faster, because I want you to hear it from them on my show. But residential financing is based on your debt to income. Okay. Now, if you buy a plex, they'll throw in the rental income or percentage of the rental income as well. But commercial multifamily financing is based on the property's ability to service the debt. They don't care about your income. Well, they'll look at it, but they're interested. They want to make sure that property can service the debt. It's called the debt service coverage ratio. And what that means is, let's say that, and it's an annual number, and it's based on the net income, the net operating income. Okay. And so I got to quit looking at this chat. Sorry, guys, I get derailed. I need to put something in front of it because it's distracting me like crazy. Okay. So you guys, you got an active group here, guys. I'll tell you, and I love it because that's really important, especially on a Sunday night, man. We got to keep that energy high. My boot camp, sir. You will, trust me, high energy. Okay. And if you come, you will laugh, you will cry. I promise you. Okay. You will, all the above. It's not your freaking typical real estate event. And you will leave so freaking juiced. You'll be coming out of your skin to go conquer the world. If you come, by the way, if you come and you don't absolutely freaking love it after 3 days, on the 4th day, I don't mean like it, I mean love it, I'll give you your money back. Okay. It's never happened, but there's a first time for everything. Anyway, so commercial debt service coverage ratio. Let's say a property's net income for the year is $125,000. Let's say the debt is $100,000. So the loan cost for the year is $100,000, but the property nets $125,000. That's a 1.25% debt service coverage ratio. And that's pretty much the minimum that most lenders want to see. Okay. And so that's what they're looking at, right? And the other things, when you get commercial debt, they're going to want to see 3 things. They're going to want to see a net worth equal to the loan amount, and they're going to want to see liquidity equal to 10% of the loan amount after closing, 10% post-closing liquidity. Now, does that have to be your net worth or your liquidity? No, it's a freaking team. You can find one high net worth individual that can satisfy this for you. A sponsor, for example. I'm a sponsor. All 5,000 doors that I bought the last 3 years have been with students, and I've been the sponsor. And so, but there'll be dozens of them at my boot camp, by the way. Okay. And I'm sure you guys are sponsors. I'm guessing you guys are sponsors, but that's how everybody starts. Okay. They find somebody that can satisfy those 2 things, and experience. You got to have experience. Those are the 3 things: net worth, liquidity, experience. Net worth equal to the loan amount. I mean, that loan amount could be $30 million. Okay. So you got to have somebody that can cover that net worth and that liquidity. And that's typically a sponsor. And it's called a key principal. They'll sign on the debt. Now, when you meet a sponsor, what do you think's more important, the deal or the relationship? Put it in the chat. I got to look at this damn chat again. Okay. Hang on. Move my cup. The deal or the relationship? Okay, you guys are smart. You got a smart group here. You better believe it's a freaking relationship, okay? Because here's why. Because they're gonna be on the hook for that deal. And if you screw it up, their name is on it. And, very likely they're going to want to manage the first deal or 2 that you do together. And that's, expect that, because, you're wet behind the ears, right? Sorry, that was racist. Sorry. Anyway. Please, I'm trying to be funny, but failing miserably. All right. So that's where you find sponsors. There's at boot camps like mine, or, other boot camps, sure, as well. And I'm going to tell you, my most successful students, they go to every one of my events for sure. And we have warrior only events as well. We've got one coming up in November in Phoenix, and there'll be 400 warriors there. But most of the most successful ones I've got go to every single event, because that's where you meet investors and potential sponsors and partners. Guys, you got to immerse yourself in this. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, it not only is it a team sport with your internal team, but when new warriors come into my program, I tell them it is more important for you to network with other warriors than it is for you to learn this business. And I know that sounds freaking crazy, but it is more important for you to make connections than it is for you to suffer through my modules and online courses and stuff that you get. So, and I don't say that, and there, I know that sounds crazy, but it's true, because this business is so interconnected. It's who you know, not what you know. And please trust me on that. Okay. Now, so, and of course, you'll find sponsors, like I said, at these events, and I'm a sponsor, and, like I said, there'll be numerous ones there. And I have 3 panels each day of warrior, primarily, they're all warriors, not primarily, used to be primarily, it's all warriors. And there'll be somewhere probably 3 to 5 billion in assets represented by those warriors on stage to answer all your questions. Every one of them is a sponsor. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that when you buy a 100-unit property, you are in the landlord business? In the chat, please. Are you in the landlord business when you buy a 100-unit property? No, absolutely no. Hell no. No, you hire third-party property management companies. Now, when you buy a duplex, you're in the landlord business. I'm going to tell you right now. But here's the thing. By the way, in Rod's links, don't go look now. There's a book. It's the best book on the subject on how to hire a third-party property management company. There's nothing better. I mean, I'm going to tell you, hang on one second. I'm going to show you what's there. Give me a stack of books here. By the way, you can also get my #1 bestseller for like $6. You pay for the shipping. It's bestseller in 3 categories. I've never had even a critical word about this book. Everybody raves about it. You can buy it there. The rest of them are obviously PDFs. This tool book is there. This is like a due diligence checklist on steroids. Don't go now, because you're going to miss something. Questions you ask a general partner before you get into syndication, if you're going to invest passively. Okay. My goal setting guide when you do the goals. What else is there? Hang on. You come to the boot camp and you'll get these huge books on, guide to due diligence, guide to syndications. These are all things I give away. Deal structures, acquisitions. And here's the book, How to Hire a Third-Party Property Management Company, and the questions to ask when you form a partnership. This is a team sport, guys. And let me tell you something. Partnerships are easy to get into, and they're like a marriage, and hard to get out of. And you want to ask all the hard questions up front. And I want to tell you something else, super important. You may not think it's important. It's probably the most important. Your brain is incredibly powerful, and it can pick up on micro nuances when you meet with somebody. And if your gut doesn't feel right, freaking trust it, okay? Because it's your brain seeing something's off, okay? A great example of this is there's this book called Blink. And it's about these, and one of the examples there is these art experts. They can look at a famous, a painting, and they're the best in the world. And they know it's a fraud, but they don't know why it's a fraud. It's the same thing when you meet somebody. So, you want to ask all these hard questions, because you can get caught up in the emotion and get into a deal that you don't want to get into. And regret it. Ask me how I know. By the way, at my boot camp, I give shirts away that say #ask me how I know. As one of my students gave me one, because I'll always say, don't do that. Ask me how I know. Now we give them away just because it's funny. But anyway, so where was I? So no, you're not in the landlord business, and you've got all those free resources there. Okay. Now, do you think you need to be full-time to do this business? Yes or no? No. That's right. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. I've got students that retired from significant, consuming, high-paying W-2 jobs with families, with kids, and they retired because their income eclipsed their W-2 jobs. Numerous students have done that. So no, you absolutely don't have to do this full-time. Now, are you going to bust your ass for a couple of years? Yes, you are. You're going to get up early. You're going to stay up late. I'm sorry, Iffy. I didn't see someone leaning on you there. Forgive me. I better tone it down. Okay. So are you going to work hard? You're going to grind for a few years like most people won't, so you live the rest of your life like most people can't? Yes, you are. Okay. And it's okay. Is it worth it? Hello? Nod. Yes. Better freaking believe it's worth it. Okay. But you don't have to do it full time. Okay. So do you think you're going to learn this business watching some YouTube videos and dabbling? No, you're going to get your you-know-what kicked, okay? This is not a dabbler's business, especially if you're going to take money from other people, okay? And let me tell you something. You may have someone in your family that's got a lot of money, and if something goes south, I can tell you those are some awkward Thanksgivings and Christmases, okay? I had a brother, actually a couple brothers in my houses when it all tanked in 2008 and 9, and they didn't blame me, but it still was no fun. And it's funny. That's all right. I won't bore you with that story, but yeah. So you've got to have the right strategies in place. You've got to have the right infrastructure in place. You've got to have the support. You've got to have the resources to go do this. And so again, whether you learn from me, you learn from these guys, I don't care, but I don't know how comprehensive your program is, Trevor. I don't want to speak to it. I didn't even know you guys had one, but I'm sure it's fantastic. But you guys, you've got to have the support. You've got to have the resources. You've got to have people you can ask if you see a deal. Super important. Now, let me ask you this. Can you only invest in multifamily where you live? No, absolutely not. Okay, I'll tell you, I would suggest 4 markets to consider first. Your backyard. Now, I consider your backyard a 2-hour drive in any direction. Second choice would be somewhere you have lived or spent some time. For me, that's Denver. I used to own 500 houses in Denver at one time. The third place would be somewhere you have boots on the ground. You've got friends or family that live there. They have their ear to the ground. They know what's going on. They know what businesses are going in and out. They know what's happening. Super important. That's be option 3. Option 4 would be somewhere you might even want to retire or you enjoy visiting. So backyard, place you've lived or spent some time, boots on the ground, or place you want to retire. By the way, guys, I at the boot camp, I go deep on building your team, evaluating deals, picking a market, underwriting the deals, financing the deals, syndicate. I have a syndication attorney spend an hour in syndication, joint venture, property management, raising all the money you need for your deals, and on and on and on. I mean, it is drinking through a freaking fire hose, but you will leave there ready to go. Okay. Just telling you, you'll leave there ready to go. Okay. Now, when you evaluate a market, and I'm going to give you some highlights here. I just want to give you some meat, but I'm telling you, we go deep on all. I mean, here's the manual. Oh, I saw it here. Yeah, here's the manual. Okay, I mean, this is not like I tease you and expect you to buy coaching or do something else. No, you get it all. Okay, and then some. Your head will explode. I'm just telling you, but it'll be fun. I mean, we have a blast, and you can bet I spend a ton of time on mindset. Again, you will leave so juiced, you'll be coming out of your skin. But when you're evaluating a market, you want to make sure 3 things are growing: population, income, and jobs. What's the most important? In the chat. Good job. Most of you got it. It's jobs. It's jobs for sure. Okay. Good job, guys. You've got a pretty educated group here, guys. Really impressed. So jobs are the most important. I'm going to give you some websites that you can write these down that you can do. You can start playing with this. Okay. Bestplaces.net. Great website to play around with demographical research. Best Places. City-data.com. datausa.io. Census.gov. And play with it. Don't get intimidated by it. Wallow in it, for lack of a better word. Play with it. Have fun with it. That's how you really get up to speed on demographical research and start to, put in your backyard and see what's going on there. And that's how you learn this. Okay. Now let's talk about how you make money in these deals. Maybe you didn't hear me. We're going to talk about how you make money in these freaking deals. Okay. Just want to make sure you're awake. Okay. That was for my own amusement. All right. So cash flow, of course, but I'm going to tell you cash flow when you do these deals is fairly minimal if you're syndicating initially, because you got to pay that preferred return. That's not to say you're not going to have it after you give them their money back. Okay. You refinance or whatever. But you definitely are going to make some cash flow. But the biggest thing is the equity growth, okay? The what's called the promote, okay? So, my model is we buy, refinance, get our investors all their money back or most of their money back in 3 to 5 years, and then we hold on to it. It's a legacy asset. We pay attention to the market. If the market shifts, we sell. If it doesn't, I'm a real estate buyer, not a seller. First guy I ever interviewed on my show was a billionaire named Albert Barris, and had 20,000 units at the time. I'll tell you a funny story. Well, 2 funny stories. One, I'm an hour in and I looked down and I realized I forgot to hit the record button. And this is my first interview, and he was a freaking billionaire. Yeah, I was terrified, but he's a cool guy. He's been on the show 3 times since. But I invited him to my mastermind. So I host the largest multifamily mastermind, really on the planet. It's probably about 35 billion in assets in there now. But we invited him, and my assistant called his assistant, said, yeah, we're going to fly Albert down first class. We're going to put him up at the Ritz-Carlton. And his assistant's like, no, it's okay. He'll take his own jet down. It's fine. Yeah, baby. Anyway, so that's Albert Barras. But anyway, so equity growth in deals is the second way you make money. The third way is acquisition fees. And if any investor gives you trouble about your acquisition fees, then say next, okay? Because you can charge 3 to 5%, okay? And I know a lot of people charge 5%. I charge 3 because we do, $30-40 million deals, but 5% is absolutely acceptable. And listen, on a $3 million deal, that's 150 grand, guys. That's a good day, okay? And 3 million is nothing these days, okay? And any investor gives you trouble because that might be all the money you get until you reposition that asset. Remember, we do value add deals, okay? We want to find a deal. We want to improve that net income, increase the value, refinance or sell, and boom, we're golden. Now, let me give you some examples of the impact of this, okay? On increasing net income. We've got a 296 unit asset in San Antonio, and the manager did fire inspections when we took over the property to make sure that that the fire extinguishers weren't out of date, batteries in the smoke detectors or whatever. Just did a fire inspection. She found either 50, I think it was 50 or 60 pets that we didn't know about. And we love pets, but you're going to pay to have them, okay? And so we got a pet fee. That $25 pet fee was a $500,000 instant increase in value, okay? For some freaking cats, okay? Now, we also decided to paint the parking spaces there, put numbers on them, and say, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have a spot right in front of your unit? You can have that for $25 a month with a reserve sign. It's yours. We had 100 people take it. That was an $800,000 instant increase in value for some paint and some reserve signs. Yeah, there were dogs too, Megani. Thank you. Stop looking at that damn chat. Okay. Probably snakes. Who knows what the heck they were. Anyway, so guys, this is why we love this business, okay? I bought a 101 unit asset in Dayton, Ohio. Beaver Creek, Ohio, actually. I wouldn't have bought Dayton proper, but Beaver Creek, very wealthy area of Dayton. 101 units. 3 months or 4 months after we bought it, got destroyed by a tornado. True story, okay? And all 101 families had to move. Thank God nobody died. A couple of people had to have surgery. They were okay. Thank God no kids got hurt at all. But I went there the next day, and there was a woman bringing her clothes out because everybody had to move. Power's off, everybody had to move. And I asked her, were you here? And she's like, yeah. And she said, my son was upstairs in his bedroom, and of course his phone went off. Thank God for early warning. By the time he came down and woke me up, his bedroom was gone. Yeah, true story. That this woman told me firsthand. But the moral of the story here is we got a $600 to $650 rent bump when we rebuilt that place on 101 units. That was a $10 to $12 million increase in value. Okay. This is why we love this business, guys. Okay. So that's what you do. And you can force appreciation through your efforts by increasing rents and lowering expenses. It's called value add. So back to the acquisition fee. How's the acquisition fee paid? Tell me in the chat how the acquisition fee is paid. Who pays it? This one usually trips a few people up. By the investors, built into the deal, investor. God, you have got nobody ever gets that right. Even at a meetup, they screw that up. Good job,
Thank
guys.
you.
That's right. You raise the money. Guys, you raise the money from your investors. You're not just raising the down payment, the closing costs. Well, you are. The closing costs, the acquisition fee is one of them. You're raising the capital expense money, the money you're going to use to fix up that property. And you better be raising operating reserves as well. We do 6 months of expenses as operating reserves, okay? In case the you-know-what hits the you-know-what, right? And it's gonna, okay? So make sure you have plenty of cash sitting around for that. So that's how it's paid. Now, anyway, so what else do I want to tell you? So if you get a sponsor, they're going to take like 5 to 10% of the deal. They'll get a slice, okay? And there, like I told you before, there's lots of different roles you can play, lots of different hats you can wear. You can be the one that sources the deals, does the underwriting. You can be a sponsor. You can raise capital. I'm going to tell you, if you can raise money, by the way, on Rod's links, I'm pretty sure that I've got my raising money masterclass there. That was 4 hours of raising money. Okay.
Yeah,
and it's
it's
what
on
I
there,
did.
Rod.
Huh?
It's on there. Yep,
okay,
it's
great.
on there.
Guys,
Yes,
you should definitely do that. It's like 4 hours. It's what I taught my warriors at my warrior event. I just gave it away for free there. And it is, it's as good as it's going to get to teach you how to raise money. And that's going to be the big thing in what's coming, so good job, BB. Okay. Or you could be the asset management, like I said, but I'm going to tell you the fastest way to get a group to want to work with you is to find deals or find money. Okay. And I tell my warriors, my students, if they hold still long enough, they better know what it is you do. You want to get the question, what do you do? Okay. Well, I'm so glad you asked. I buy multifamily and there's incredible deals coming, and we're gearing up to take advantage of it. So if you know anybody that wants to partner, let me know. Tell me more, right? That's it. It's that simple, guys. Don't overthink this, but you want to tell anybody that holds still long enough what it is you do. And don't ever assume somebody doesn't have money. I can tell you a woman, when I was buying real estate in my 20s, that drove this old piece of shit. God, I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, Iffy. Drove this piece of junk Subaru, and she loaned me millions. I mean, she had like 4 million, 5 million she loaned me at one time. Okay, don't ever assume they don't have money. Okay. Is networking important in this business? I think I kind of gave that one away already, didn't I? Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah. You're gonna find potential partners. You're gonna broker relationships, investor relationships, vendor relationships. Super important. But let me ask you this. What do you think is the most important component of being a success in this business? I'm just curious. What do you think is the most important piece? I kind of gave it away too, but tell me what you think. Network? It's a good one. That's a good answer. No, nobody's got it yet. No, nobody's got it yet. Yeah, somebody got it. I saw mindset go by. Trust me, it's mindset. Okay. You've got to go make it happen. Okay. That's it. That's it. All those other things are absolutely accurate. Keep your word, integrity. By the way, guys, this is a very small world we work in. It's a small world. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody that's in trouble right now. Everybody knows everybody that's nefarious and no fun to work with. And so integrity has got to be your number one core value. It's ours. You do what's right, even if it hurts. It's super important. Okay. You want to be building banking relationships right now, okay? Because banks are going to start taking properties back. So find your local and regional banks in the market that you're interested in and build relationships with them. You want to start studying auctions. There's going to be auctions. Now, be very, very careful with auctions, okay? Because if you bid on a property at auction, you're going to put up a deposit. And if you back out, you lose that deposit, okay? You need to have your money lined up and with a normal deal, you have a due diligence period. On an auction, you're doing due diligence on a property you don't even know you're going to get. So it's cursory at best. And there are nefarious sellers that will put a property up for auction to hide a defect. So if you're going to buy an auction property, have me or someone like me looking over your shoulder. Okay, super important. But they're a great place to learn, okay? Because if you get a package from a broker, typically you'll just get a pro forma, which is frankly toilet paper in most cases. You need all the financial information. But if you get a property at auction, because they know they throw everything at you because they know you've only got a certain amount of time to learn. And so, you'll get third-party reports like appraisals and environmental reports and surveys and stuff that'll help you learn the business. So I'd encourage you to register on all the auction sites and start evaluating deals and running them through by the way, if you come to my boot camp, you get our deal evaluator software, which is the best out there. Okay, I'm telling you, it's better than anybody else's. And I know everybody that's out there, and you may know them too, but trust me, ours is better. And it's free. You get it for free, okay, as part of the boot camp. And you get my document library too, which I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on. So there's more. I'm keeping myself awake now. Okay, auctions. All right. You want to make sure everything you do is checklisted. And of course, you'll get all that at the boot camp, due diligence checklists out the wazoo. Okay. And when I'm starting to fade, guys. I don't think I'm going to make it till 10. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm starting to fade. Let me see what else I've got to talk about. Okay. I've got a few other things here. All right. I'll hang in there. You need due diligence checklist. The tool book is really good, but you get a really comprehensive one at the boot camp. You also get a sample deal package, which is really powerful because, you know, it's something you can show an investor and say, hey, this is the kind of stuff we look for. You know, if we see something like this, would you be interested in talking to us? So you get that. And I go through it with you to, you know, and I mean, you can get that from other operators as well. It's just, you know, like a broker, an offering memorandum, but ours is really, really good. I'm going to tell you that. Now, property management. Okay. I'll talk about that for a minute. By the way, how do you think you find the best people in this business? I'm just curious. How do you find the best brokers, property managers, vendors? How do you think you find it? Throw that in the chat. How do you think you find the best people? See who gets it first. Connection? Nope. Referrals. Good job, guys. Referrals. It's all referrals. Okay. You know, it used to be a Rolodex or a Yellow Pages no, it's all referrals. Now, with property managers, you may get referred to the same property management company numerous times, but there's some things you got to pay attention to, especially if you're buying properties that are under 50 units. Okay. One thing is maintenance. Okay. If you're buying under 50 units, you're going to be relying on their maintenance infrastructure, and they're going to typically be a small fly-by-night company that manages the smaller stuff like that. And it's hard to find good ones. I'm just going to tell you that right now. On the larger assets, 70 units or higher, you're going to get, you know, world-class management companies, better ones. Let's just put it that way. But on the smaller ones, you're going to rely on their maintenance infrastructure, and maintenance is a real profit center for a lot of management companies. They may quote you a low percent, but then they're going to upsell the heck out of you on the maintenance. Like they'll hire some kid at 20 bucks an hour and bill them out at 100. So pay very close attention to what they're charging. There are also a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Digital dinosaurs in the property management space, especially in the smaller ones. Make sure they've got a, you know, that you can see the units online. You can do a virtual tour. You can, you know, apply online, you know, on your phone and everything else. Make sure they've got a great mobile website. Even if you got referred to them numerous times, because if they're a digital dinosaur, they're going to lose half your business because everybody lives on their phone now. Super important. What else? Oh, gosh. Let's see here. Now, when you're evaluating a property, there's a couple simple things that you can look at right out of the gate. One would be, you know, current occupancy of the area versus the occupancy of the asset, right? If the area's occupancy rate's 95 and the asset's at 80%, something's up. Now, it could be functional obsolescence, and functional obsolescence is rooms are too small, ceilings are too low, windows are too small, things like that are hard to fix. But in many cases, it's just crappy management, okay? And so it's super important that, you know what the area's occupancy rate is, so you can, that's a quick check. You know, you should know what the rental market, you know, what the rents are. Don't try to focus on 5 areas at a time, okay? Yes, spot crime is for crime, Anna. I looked at the dang chat. Use spotcrime.com, okay, for crime. That's a good one. And I think Best Places has a crime section as well. And by the way, you want to see something funny. You'll see area occupancy from property management companies. Property management companies, by the way, are your greatest resource for information about an area. We learn more about an area from property management companies than anywhere else. And that's why you need that book of the questions to ask, okay? And it's got every freaking question you can imagine in here. It's the best. I got to tell you, it's better than anything published, and I give it away for free. Most of these books are. Okay. So, and that completely derailed my thought. Where was I? Okay. Oh, yeah. Don't pick a bunch of markets. Pick 1, 2 max and become an expert in that market. Know what the rents are there. Know what's going on there. Another quick metric, and that way you'll see if somebody's charging too low rents, if you've got, you know, an opportunity there. Know how to calculate the expense ratio. The expense ratio is just the income on the property from all sources less the property related expenses without the debt, maintenance, taxes, insurance, all that stuff. And if it's over 50%, there could be an opportunity there. The average is 50%. So that's another quick back of the napkin check. Make sure that you don't underestimate the CapEx. Make sure you've got a GC that goes out there to estimate what it's going to cost to fix the place up. Okay, very, very important. What classes of property should you buy? I'm going to tell you right now, with inflation as crazy as it is, I would be careful with C assets right now. That demographic, D is getting killed. C as well. Anybody that's living hand to mouth right now, paycheck to paycheck. I went to the grocery store and I'm like, I've recently separated and I'm buying groceries for myself. And I'm like, 150 for that? Are you freaking kidding me? And I mean, I was shocked. And the clerk's like, yeah. And I was like, how do people afford this? And she just shook her head. And so be careful with C assets. I will buy a C asset if it's in a B area and I can raise it up. I'll buy a B asset in an A area if I can raise it up. But be careful with, C, even with C assets right now. That's my 2 cents. Okay. Because that demographic's in trouble. I mean, and depends. There's a geographic component as well, for sure. But on the exit cap, somebody asked the exit cap question. We typically do 15 to 25 basis points a year, but that is kind of a super conservative because cap rates go up with interest rates, and interest rates are still high. So if you can make a deal work with an exit cap, with that aggressive of a jump on it, then it's a home run if things level out. And that's getting into the weeds here. We're getting into that in a lot more detail at the event, but that's really getting into the weeds. I'll stay for a few minutes and take some questions if you guys want to do that, Trevor. Otherwise, I'm going to face plant.
We'd love it, but we did want to let you run with it, as much we can get out of you the best, right? But before we do questions, Rod, for you.
It wasn't my best work, guys. I'm just going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you right now, at the boot camp, you will get my best work. It's A game. Bring your A game if you come, okay? And candidly, you're crazy not to come. I'm just going to tell you, if you really want to learn this business, you will get it all. So
I think there'll be a lot of people here attending, Rod. I mean, you saw it in the chats. And what we want to do for you, we do this for everybody. Let's make sure everybody here to get the cell phones out, right? And make sure we give some credit for Rod's time here as well, and take some pictures that you can then put obviously on your social media channels. So people see what Rod's doing here, but also let's be smart about social media, because what Rod obviously does, he likes to share the stories that people share about him, right? And what he does. And guess what? Now you get visibility too.
By the way, let me say one other thing. Guys. So please. At Rod's links is all my social media, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube. If you guys ask me a question there, I answer every single question. Okay. And sometimes I get, is this really Rod? And then I got to take a picture, like this in my underwear or whatever. Yes. But I answer every freaking question. Okay. So if you've got a question, don't hesitate. And thank you. I always over deliver. I appreciate that, guys. I'm going to tell you, the people that are the most successful add the most value. Remember that when you're approaching investors, when you're aligning with other people, the people that add the most value are the most successful on the planet. So focus on that. When you go to set up to, maybe you're going to create reach to find investors and you're going to do your own podcast. I've got literally probably 36 warriors that have their own podcast, a couple of them award winning, or a meetup group like this, or a Facebook group or a YouTube channel, and you're creating your own reach. There's 2 things you got to remember. Add value, okay, number 1, and be consistent, number 2, okay?
That's excellent. Rod, what do you say we do? Let's have a hard stop. It would be 7:40 my time. I think that's 9:40 your time.
That's fine. So throw some questions. Throw some questions out.
Q&A. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So raise your hand.
Okay, Lorena said, how do you find your strengths? How do you find your strengths? What do you love doing, Lorena? Okay, that's what you want to focus on. Everybody has a superpower. And I will tell you, when you come to my event, even if you're an introvert, you will be forced to network. I make everybody get up and meet people, and it terrifies the introverts, but then they always thank me afterwards. I'm so glad you did that. I met some amazing people, but I always tell them what your superpower is. Tell them where you live and give me your contact information. I always say, tell them what your superpower is. That's how you find out. Okay. Because you want to play in your strengths. Like I said, that's your greatest. So if it's process, if you're good at managing people, if you're good at relationships, if you're good at being an analytical, those are the 3 most common. But there's lots of things you can do. What do I mean exactly? I don't know what you're asking me, Marcel. Sorry, bud.
No, I'm responding to Iffy here.
Oh, okay.
Hayden, a friend here in Chattanooga, great guy, by the way. If you want somebody in Chattanooga, Knoxville, Tennessee, connect with Hayden. He's having trouble to sign up for your program, but we'll handle this on the back end. So to dial into your boot camp.
Rod Friend is the code. Just remember that. Okay, that gets that $197 price. It's double that now, and it'll be triple in a couple weeks. So
beautiful. Rod, we
Okay.
got Alicia here with her hand held out. Alicia, let's pass the mic to you and fire away your question.
Hi.
Hi. Yes. Hopefully you can hear me all right. Thank you so
I
much.
can.
Yep.
Yeah, I really appreciate your pouring into us. So,
Thank you. Thank you. And I was enjoying your energy because you were reacting to what I was saying more than anybody else. So thank you. It helped me keep going, just so you know.
awesome. A question that I do have, and pardon my ignorance, but when you're analyzing the deals on the auction sites, what information are you analyzing? What's available?
That's a long question, okay? Because I mean, that's a come to the boot camp question, because you're looking at all sorts of things, okay? You know, you're looking at what the current rents are, what the market rents are on the competing properties, truly competing properties. They've got to be competitive. And I'm going to tell you, you got to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. I can tell you, I know somebody that screwed this up. And they lost out on an opportunity they could have wholesaled for $1 million. Okay, wholesaled it. They could have flipped the contract. What they did was they compared a property where the owner was paying utilities to one where the owner wasn't paying utilities, and it was a massive screw up, and they missed out on an incredible opportunity. So that's rents. You know, obviously you're looking at the condition and what the capex is going to cost, how much money you need to raise, what kind of debt you can get. Again, it's a big answer to your question, Alicia. Okay. Come to the boot camp. I promise you'll be glad you did.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Alicia. All right, let's get BB in the mix here.
And there was even more beyond that, Alicia. I just touched on a few things. Okay. It's a lot more than that. Okay.
Hey,
Question.
BB, we'll pass the mic to you.
BB,
Yes,
Hi.
yes. Hi, Rod. Thanks so much for pointing out this. I've been wanting to hear you out. I have a lot of your students on my team. In short, I think I'm the only one. I'm the only odd one amongst them.
Wow.
I
Nice.
work with all your students currently on my deals. Yes, so maybe
Nice.
one day I'll be
Nice.
one of them. Yes. I'm calling to ask you why. What is your preferred KPI tool that you use? Because typically,
I'm
I
sorry.
normally
What
use
is
the
my
soft
preferred KPI for
management.
what? I'm sorry. I didn't catch that.
Your preferred KPI tool. I normally do it manually, but I want something automated.
Oh,
That when I
KPI
just
tool.
put in my
Tool.
data.
Okay. I
Yes.
have an incredible
Yes.
tool. I have an incredible tool that's better than
Okay.
anything I've ever seen, that I'm going to be rolling
Nice.
out like literally in a week or two, BB. I don't have it yet. I'm negotiating it right now.
Okay.
Okay. But it is extraordinary. My team is raving about it. Okay.
Wow.
And it's better than anything we've
Okay.
seen. Now it is heavily detailed. It matches up to the software that your management company is using, ties
Nice.
in, pulls in the metrics. It's extraordinary. But if you just ping me,
Oh my God.
ping me in a couple weeks or a week to 2 weeks, it'll be online. I'm literally negotiating it next week. Okay. I literally have the email saved as
Oh my
unread
God.
so I can go back and work on it. Because I took most of the weekend off.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
You bet.
I have been checking everywhere for one. Thank you so much.
You bet. You bet. I can take a few more. I got energy back. Kennedy's got his hand up. If you got anybody else, yeah.
I think we got Max back up here.
Okay.
Right? Next in line.
Yep,
What's up, Max?
Hey Rod, thanks for doing this. Just wanting to know, I know you have a presentation coming up on it, but any tips you can give on raising capital these days? I know it's getting tougher and tougher.
Dude, I just gave you a resource, man. It's incredible. Go to Rod's links, and my raising capital masterclass is there. It's what I taught my warriors. It's more than I even teach at the boot camp. It's 4 hours or 3 or 4 hours of raising capital. Just go watch that. Trust me. It's complete. Okay. It covers everything from creating reach to how you get started, how you get going, how you build relationships, and what you need to do. So Max, just trust me. Just go watch that. You'll thank me. Okay.
Thank you.
You bet, brother.
Yep. And Max, we got that link dropped right in the chat there. Caleb did. So that'll take you
Okay.
right to it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
I think that's it, right?
No, Kennedy raised his hand. Let Kennedy ask his question.
Where's there you are. Kennedy, did you take it down again? Oh, gotcha.
The actual hand.
The actual hand.
And you got to unmute yourself, buddy.
Unmute. Okay, how about
There
that?
you are.
Good.
All right. Hey, Rod, you are a godsend, man. I appreciate everything that you've done. You're
Thank you.
amazing, man.
Thank you, brother.
I love you. So, what is the best way to contacts people to network and, and just, find out how you can be part of their team.
Are you an introvert?
No,
Do you get energy from being alone or energy from being around people?
I love being around people.
Okay. All right. Just curious. You're overthinking it. Okay. Massively overthinking it. You're just making friendships, my friend. Okay. That's all you're doing. You're meeting people. You're talking about whatever you want to talk about. And you just get to know them. You see how you feel about them. You see if you like them. You just have fun talking about this business. If you're at my boot camp, you make fun of something stupid I said the previous 5 minutes, because it's every 5 minutes, whatever, that's what you do. Don't overthink it. You're just building friendships. That's all you're doing, buddy. Okay. Don't overthink it. And you don't have to have a script. You don't have to have, I will tell you, I used to have notes in my back pocket because I thought I was an introvert, and I'd have notes of questions I wanted to ask. Now, when you're networking, if you can ask questions, you're driving the conversation, and people love it because they think it's the greatest conversation they've ever had because they're doing all the talking. But you can drive the conversation by asking questions. So, that's a little trick. But, when you're networking, it's critical that you get their contact information. Don't worry about handing your card out. Who cares about that? You get their contact information. You take a picture with them so you remember who they are, and you reach out and keep that relationship going. That's the most important part. All the work happens after the event. The event is just to gather information, and don't focus on meeting everybody. Focus on building deeper relationships with fewer people. That's another super important tip. Okay. Hope that helped, brother.
I appreciate you, Rob.
You bet, man. You bet.
Thanks, Kennedy.
Look, we have the best hand up yet to finish here tonight. Look at that, Rod.
Ooh, I didn't see it. I didn't see the hand.
It's our friend Iffy.
Oh, hi, Iffy. Hi, sweetie.
Hi,
sorry,
hey.
I'm in front of your boy. I feel bad.
He didn't hear them.
Oh, good. Oh,
No,
good.
he didn't hear
Okay, good.
anything. I
Okay.
don't have a question. I just came to say thank you. When Rod says he responds via Instagram, it's true. I sent you a message on Instagram and you called me, and I thought it was spam, but it was you, and it was true. And I don't want to give too much away, but by the end of this week, I should be able to reach out to Morelli and fill out the paperwork to get my sword.
Oh,
So,
no kidding. No kidding. It's Brooke now, but fantastic.
Brooke?
By the way, we have
There you
what we call the warrior of the sword. When everybody gets their first deal as a warrior, they get this cool sword. It's not like some fake thing. It is really cool. Well, listen, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on. I sure hope I see some of you at my boot camp. Like I said, I promise you'll be glad you came. Go make it happen. If you're not coming, just go make it happen for yourselves. You deserve it. And, life will never be the same again.
That's exactly
Take care, my
right.
friends.
Thank
Take care,
you so
guys.
much, Rod.
All right, you
Tonight
bet.
was awesome. Appreciate you.
See y'all later.
All right.
See